Welcome, everyone, to this deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Before we jump into today's main topic, which is, well, pretty significant in the financial world, I wanted to mention a great resource if you're into history.
Oh, yeah.
Hui Wang's A History China series. The latest one, The Liao Dynasty, is out now on Amazon, ebook, paperback, the works. Really worth checking out if that period interests you.
Good tip. History buffs take note.
Okay, so moving to finance. We're tackling a really momentous and, frankly, pretty controversial development unfolding right now in the U.S.
It's definitely got people talking.
We're talking about a new executive order.
Yeah.
And this one could potentially unlock, get this, an enormous amount of money from American retirement accounts.
Specifically 401ks.
Exactly, for investment in alternative assets. Things like private equity, real estate, but the big one everyone's focused on, cryptocurrencies.
Right. That's the headline grabber.
Our mission today is basically to unpack this. Look at the promises being made, which are pretty huge, but also the profound warnings coming from critics. We want to give you a clear picture of what's going on.
There's a lot to unpack for sure.
So let's dive into the details. This executive order at its heart, it allows 401k savings, your retirement money, to go into these alternative assets beyond just stocks and bonds.
Which is a major departure from how 401ks have traditionally worked, focusing on relative stability.
Totally. Private equity, real estate, and crucially crypto. I feel like a massive shift. What kind of scale are we talking about here? And why are supporters calling it a historic moment?
The scale is, well, it's mind-boggling, really. The number being thrown around is potentially $12.5 trillion. Trillion with a T, unlocked from these retirement accounts.
Wow. $12.5 trillion potentially flowing into alternatives, including crypto.
Exactly. And proponents, they see this as completely unprecedented, a historic moment, because it could give ordinary Americans access to investment types that were usually just for big institutions or the super wealthy.
The idea being more opportunity for growth.
That's the pitch. More choice, potentially much higher returns than traditional investments.
And you can feel the excitement from some quarters, especially those, say, aligned with President Trump. They're painting this picture of exponential growth for retirement savings.
Right. They point to Bitcoin, for example. Let's say it's trading around, $110,000, $120,000 per coin currently in this scenario.
Yeah, in that ballpark.
Their optimistic prediction is that it could soar. Maybe even hit $1 million per coin.
$1 million, that's ambitious.
Very. But if that happened, you're talking about potentially multiplying your retirement savings 10 times over. Tenfold.
Imagine that, turning, say, $50,000 into $500,000 in your 401k. It sounds incredible. They're presenting it as a huge financial win for everyday Americans.
It's a very seductive promise. But almost in the same breath, you hear these really stark warnings from the critics.
Okay, let's switch gears to that. What are the alarm bells ringing?
Well, the most common analogy you hear is the casino. Critics are basically saying the crypto market is like a giant casino.
And in a casino?
The house always wins. That's their line. They worry that, yes, maybe this huge influx of retirement money, that $12.5 trillion, might pump up crypto prices for a while.
Creates a bubble, maybe?
Potentially. But the real danger, they argue, comes when people try to cash out. If lots of ordinary investors try to sell at once, especially if the market gets shaky,
then the whole thing could collapse.
Exactly. A crash that could just wipe out those retirement savings, the very money the order was supposed to help grow. It's a boom-bust scenario that they fear benefits only a few at the top.
You mentioned benefiting those at the top. I've heard this phrase, harvesting the leaks. It sounds kind of harsh. What does that mean in this context?
It is harsh, but it's a term used, yeah, especially in some crypto analysis circles. Leaks basically refers to inexperienced retail investors, the newcomers.
Like lambs to the slaughter, almost.
Sort of. The idea is that the real winners wouldn't be the average person putting their 401k money in. It would be the big established players already deep in crypto.
Names people might recognize.
Maybe. Think figures like Zhao Chengpeng of Binance fame, or someone like Sun Yu Cheng with Tron. These major figures, or others like them, critics say, are positioned to harvest the investments from these newcomers.
So the experienced players profit from the inexperienced ones.
That's the argument. These ordinary workers are treated like vegetables ready to be cut when the time is right. The analogy they use is pretty blunt. Letting 401ks into crypto is like letting people gamble their retirement savings directly in a casino.
It enriches the casino owners, not the average gambler.
Precisely. Which brings us to the disadvantage the average investor faces.
Right. Because most people with a 401k, they aren't day traders. They lack experience in these super speculative markets.
Exactly. How likely are they to outmaneuver the seasoned pros, the crypto whales, the big funds? It seems unlikely. It's a totally different ballgame.
And that's why 401ks historically stuck to, relatively safer stuff. Stocks, bonds.
Precisely because assets like Bitcoin are so volatile. We're not talking small dips. It can lose a third, even half its value really fast. We've seen it drop from, say, $70,000 down to $30,000.
That's not theoretical risk. That's happened. Imagine seeing half your retirement savings just vanish.
It's terrifying for most people. They aren't prepared for that kind of swing, emotional or financially, which leads to questions about the motivation behind this order.
Yeah, what's the official line versus what critics are saying?
Well, the White House statement focuses on choice, offering more options, potentially higher returns for American workers, boosting their retirement prospects.
Sounds reasonable on the surface.
Yeah. But critics, they counter with some pretty serious allegations. They claim the real driver isn't helping workers, it's personal profit for those pushing the policy.
Personal profit? How so?
There are claims, for instance, that President Trump and his family have already made, potentially, billions from their own crypto ventures, even launching their own digital currencies, apparently.
So the argument is this order benefits them directly or strengthens the crypto industry's influence.
Both, according to critics. They argue it tightens the crypto industry's grip on government policy, maybe creating a regulatory environment that favors them.
That definitely complicates the picture. And it raises bigger questions too, doesn't it? About the whole financial system.
Absolutely. You hear worries about this deepening clash. Wall Street's old money, the traditional finance world, versus crypto's new money.
Banks versus Bitcoin, in a way.
Kind of. And this clash, with trillions of dollars potentially shifting around, could be really destabilizing. It might introduce new systemic risks that, frankly, we might not be prepared for. Our current rules might not cover it.
Affecting everyone, not just those investing in crypto.
That's the concern. And there's an even, let's say, darker view some critics put forward if we look at the really big picture.
Darker how?
They argue that tying such a huge chunk of the nation's retirement savings, that $12.5 trillion directly to crypto effectively, kidnaps the country's economic future.
Kidnaps. That's strong language. What's the logic there?
The logic is kind of chilling. If that much money is locked into these volatile crypto assets, think about a future government wanting to reverse this policy.
If crypto crashes, reversing it could make things even worse for retirees.
Exactly. It could devastate millions of retirement accounts. Politically, it would become almost impossible to undo. It would be untouchable.
Creating a situation where the policy can't be changed, even if it's harmful.
Right. And that, critics argue, would allow the major crypto players to operate with even less oversight, essentially holding the nation's economic well-being hostage.
Wow. Okay. That kind of potential impact, it's no surprise it's drawn fire from some well-known financial commentators.
Definitely. Peter Schiff, for example, he's known for being a big gold advocate, very skeptical of Bitcoin.
What's his take?
He's been incredibly sharp in his criticism. He warns this could seriously worsen what many already see as America's retirement crisis.
How so? Does he draw any parallels?
He draws a very stark parallel. He compares it directly to the 2008 subprime mortgage disaster.
Okay, that definitely gets your attention. Remind us of that connection.
Well, back then, you had unqualified home buyers being lured into the market. Promises of easy money, ever-rising home values, often with mortgages they couldn't really afford long-term.
And we know how that ended?
Mass foreclosures, bankruptcies. Ordinary people lost their homes, their savings, and taxpayers ended up bailing out Wall Street firms. The average person suffered the most.
So Schiff sees the same pattern potentially repeating here.
He fears a very similar trajectory. He thinks maybe initial small gains in crypto, fueled by this 401k money, could act as bait.
Bait the hook, like you said earlier.
Right. Encouraging more and more people to jump in, maybe investing even more than they should before an eventual collapse.
Leaving average investors ruined while the big players
walk away richer, potentially. He uses those analogies again. The casino letting you win a few hands early on. Or maybe a dealer offering a free taste, get people hooked before the trap closes.
It's a pretty grim outlook, but surely not everyone sees it that way. Even among supporters, is there any nuance?
There is some, yes. Even some who are generally supportive, or at least optimistic, acknowledge the risks. They might concede that, yeah, a massive inflow of retirement cash could push Bitcoin higher.
Maybe significantly higher.
Perhaps. Some might even suggest targets like $180,000 per coin or more. But even these optimists often add a crucial warning.
Which is?
Success hinges entirely on timing.
Timing. What does that mean in practical terms for an investor?
It means this whole thing becomes a very high-stakes game. Think musical chairs. Or pass the parcel.
You don't want to be the one less holding it when the music stops.
Exactly. Financial ruin potentially awaits whoever gets caught out. The danger in these speculative markets isn't just about the asset's fundamental value, is it?
It's more about whether you can sell before everyone else does.
Precisely. Can you get out before the crash? That's the gamble. And it's a game where timing is everything, and most average investors just aren't equipped to play it successfully against the pros.
So summing up, this executive order is undeniably a major shift. It's directly linking the retirement security of millions of ordinary Americans to the, well, often wild world of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, the promises are huge, but the risks, as we've discussed, are equally significant, if not more so, according to critics.
And it really throws a spotlight on that ongoing debate, doesn't it? About the government's role in financial markets, how much risk people should be exposed to, especially with retirement funds.
Absolutely. The tension between chasing those potentially rapid gains and the risk of devastating losses is right at the heart of this.
So for you, listening right now, if you're considering anything like this, we have to urge extreme caution. The lure of quick riches is strong.
Always is. But the warnings here, especially the echoes of past crises like 2008, they are profound and shouldn't be ignored.
Which leaves us with a final thought, perhaps. In a financial world that seems increasingly drawn to speculative assets, what does genuine long-term security actually look like anymore?
And how much risk should individuals or society be willing to take on for that promise of rapid gains, especially when it involves the foundation of retirement? Something to definitely mull over.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us today for this deep dive. And just a reminder, if history is your thing, do check out Hui Wang's A History of China series, including the new book on the Liao dynasty.
A great way to explore the richness of China's past.
We hope today's discussion was informative, maybe gave you some things to think about. We look forward to speaking with you again soon.